Hotepu Geishamans all. We now go into our next tableau of 10 days of meditation on the images of Kemet to help the dreaming power. And this tableau for the next 10 days is basically this top register here. Again, do not concern yourself with the hieroglyphs down here, just the top register up here. And what you're seeing here is a scene of initiation. So what you want to do is you want to try to lay down and for the next 10 days visualize this scene as carefully as you possibly can. So you see that here we have some young people, some young children carrying the items for this initiation. Some say this is a funeral scene in the sense that whenever you become initiated or whenever you go into the dream state, your physical body does seem to have a death-like state. It shuts off to the external world. So we can read this text as what happens in the afterlife or what happens every night before you go to bed. And so what you can see here is up here there are young children, little helpers, carrying items towards your initiation chamber. These are items of beds and couches and chairs. Here he's carrying a kind of bed or bier, and here he's carrying a chair and some incense cones, and here in his hand he's holding a ink well for the seshu, the scribes. And here we have the god of the jackal, Apwat, upon a shrine being pulled on a sledge by by 4 men here, and followed by 2 priests hailing this jackal. And this jackal represents the knowledge of the spirit, the details of the house of the spirit, which is what he's sitting upon, the secrets of the inner life. And at the front of his sledge shrine there is a blooming papyrus and lotus leaf here, actually a lotus leaf. And then here we have several men who are part of the retinue of preparing you for the initiation. So these would be the priests whose job it is to prep you to go into the altered state of consciousness through song and through incantation and goodwill. Now, there are 8 men here. You can count 1, 2, and there's 3 here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 men. And these 8 men correspond to what's called the Ogdoad. There are 8 forces in the deepest trance state, the delta theta brainwave, that when you're in that state, the brain somewhat shuts off and goes into a very still and deep, profound meditational state. So what's happening here are these men here represent you going to that deep state that looks like death, but it's a deep dreaming or trance state. And then we have you here, your physical body inside of this shrine, and we have a wailing person here who's crying for the loss of physical consciousness. So here we have the body being preserved by divine principles, while we have someone or part of you that wails or cries when you lose the physical consciousness, when you go into an altered state. Because some people have a difficult time going into meditational states, into trance. And many people resist it because it is difficult, it is telling, it is challenging. So this figure represents the part of you that understands it's difficult to go into trance and tells you to do so anyway, because what you're going to awaken is far more powerful. And notice this drag queen we have here is sitting right around the phallic area here of the initiate, meaning that even though you think that you're going to go into a state of sleep, of loss of consciousness, of loss of focus, you're actually going into a deep kundalini state, a deep arousal state of the spirit. So the spirit is being fertilized and aroused. Then we have here a priest wearing a cheetah skin. This is the priest that reads the book of initiation to help you go into the state of the dream time. And he's basically offering incense and cool water for libations to help get you into the state of mind of the altered brain, deep theta delta consciousness. And then we have your shrine here being pulled by 4 men. And again, these 4 men we saw over here carrying the jackal that contains the secrets of the spirit, the details of the spirit. These 4 men represent the 4 major brainwaves and the 4 phases of life: birth, maturity, old age, and death. But more precisely in this context, these 4 figures represent the 4 main brainwaves. And then we have here 2 cows here above, and then we have also 2 cows below. These are the 4 cows, and these cows correspond to the powers of trance. The cows represent going into an internal spiritual state, and that when you go into that state of the 4 brainwaves, the deeper brainwaves, you are in a deeper trance. You're able to become productive. You produce milk or nourishment, so that you're going to be nourished on all 4 brainwave levels as you go into this altered state. Notice the cows down here are tied to your shrine, and these are the 2 lowest brainwaves, the theta delta frequencies. And you see the cow here is bespeckled, white cow bespeckled with spots. This front cow, because this represents, the spots represent the stars or constellations, and the white represents the power to purify the mind when you're in a deep meditational state. So basically you're looking at a scene that details that when you prepare for initiation and furnishing the inner life, guarded by this jackal of technical details of the afterlife or the dream state or the meditational state, and you go into that deep, what's called the Hatep state of the Ogdoad, or the deepest levels of consciousness, and you allow yourself to die to the external consciousness, to die to the outer world, that you may give birth to the inner world, and then through the fertility of deeper consciousness to purify, as this priest is doing, your brain waves, that you may produce fertile consciousness, may produce nutrition for the spirit. So your goal basically is to try to lay down each night for 10 days, review this scene, think about it, think about this is a scene that is telling you how to meditate. Prepare for it, understand the spirit, the zodiac signs, and the meditational states. Go into the deepest trance states, lose consciousness to the external world, become stimulated therefrom. You're losing nothing when you leave consciousness of the spirit world. Purify yourself and then nourish yourself in that higher state of consciousness. So I'm going to add today for you to, as you're laying down, going to sleep, visualize a very beautiful electric blue star in your throat. Just visualize a deep, gorgeous, electric blue star shimmering in your throat center, your throat chakra. And then for a few moments, just tune to that star as if you're trying to go into it. You will feel like you're traveling through infinity. Once you've done that, begin to place the image here in your throat. Reproduce this scene with your imagination, because recall, as always, our goal is to train your mind to focus and discipline its power to visualize, and see this scene in your throat. This will amplify the dreaming power. You'll dream more clearly and accelerate your capacity to dream. Keep a pad next to your bed for the next 10 days, because you're going to dream about this scene and things related to it in your life. So you're now at the stage to start recording your dreams and seeing the blue star of the dreaming light in your throat, and then to reproduce this scene in the throat center, the throat chakra. Never be afraid, as the scene is telling you, to go into meditation, to go into an inner life. Here you're entering the inner dream life, the inner spiritual realities of existence. And this is always a good thing. So practice, practice, practice. Try to visualize as many details as you can of this scene, and you'll be stunned at how the dream spirits will speak to you in turn. Practice, practice, practice. Be well. Dwawend Hotapu.